People love SUVs, don't they? And the number one SUV in the UK, outselling all the others by a wide margin, is the Kia Sportage. Now, there's no electric Sportage until now. Of course, it's not an electric Sportage, it's the EV5. So let's have a little look at the Kia EV5 and see whether it's as good as their other EVs and whether a Sportage buyer might just decide to get one of these instead. So this one I've got here is the Air trim, and it's one battery for all of the EV5s. There's no standard range or long range. It is just the one battery size of 81.4 kilowatt hours. Quite a chunky battery, really, but it is quite a chunky car, as you can see. Now, this is in Magma Red, which looks a bit more brown to me, but anyway, Magma Red. I think white is a standard colour. All the others are premium paints, and I'll flash some options on screen for you. They all cost £695 extra. So let's have a little look at the design then. It follows on from all the other Kias. It's their opposites united design language. Kind of boxy, kind of lacking the curves really, but it's, you know, it's an interesting look. I don't love this. This is probably my least favourite of all of the Kia EVs, actually. But then that's in part because I don't really like big, chunky cars. The Kia EV9 is bigger than this, certainly chunkier, but I think that works a little bit better. Anyway, what this does have is this star map, I think they call it, light signature. This they've taken from the EV6, and that's interesting because the EV6 was always the odd one out, really, of Kia's EV range. In terms of the lights, it looked a bit different to all the others. So it's interesting that they've taken that. It means that the Kia EV6 is now a little bit more cohesive, I think, in the range. But you've got quite a chunky bonnet at the front, and this is what they call the tiger face, even though I've never seen a tiger that looks anything like that. So the most interesting element is, of course, the lights. And you have no grille because it's an electric car, and it doesn't need one. Any air intake it does need for cooling the battery, it does with this little bit down here. We've got an active air flaps down there. They'll open, cool the battery if it needs to. But other than that, it's just a big block of metal, really, isn't it? Being SUV, it's supposed to be rugged and practical and all the rest of it. So it means you've got all the plastic trimming here of the wheel arches and running all along here. Pretty good ground clearance. The styling of the back I quite like, really. I love these slabby lights. I think I used the word slabby to describe the EV4 as well, actually. But I quite like that. It's not a full-on light bar, which also I quite like, because every other car seems to have a light bar now. But yeah, you've got the brake lights, so just go along and then down and then across. You first look at it, you think, oh God, there's no rear wiper, but there is one. It's just tucked up there. So that's quite neat, because it keeps the design quite nice and clean. We've got a 4,610 millimetre length. We've got a wheelbase of 2,750, which is quite a lot less, actually, than, for instance, the Ioniq 5, which is full-on 3 metres, or the EV6, also 3 metres. And we've got a height of 1,675, and it's a 1,875 millimetre width, which is not too bad, actually. I think that's quite a good size. It means it shouldn't really feel quite as big on the roads as a lot of its rivals. I'm thinking the Tesla Model Y, which is quite a big beast. Although the Model Y is bigger than this in pretty much every respect. This is just a bit taller. So although I wouldn't call this an attractive car, you do get a long wheelbase, pretty good ground clearance, quite a boxy shape and good height. So in theory, it should have lots of space inside, but we'll have a look in a minute. Okay, let's have a look in the boot. It's a pretty good size for all of your stuff. This is 566 litres. With the seats down, it's 1,650 litres. But if you're like me, then that means absolutely nothing to you, and you would much rather have proper measurements. So let's get out the tape measure. So with the seats up, you've got 88 centimetres of depth and about 98 centimetres across. There's also this bit that opens up, and it's actually quite deep. You can lower the false floor here, and then of course you do have a bit of a lip, but it does mean you have extra height. So up to the parcel shelf, that gives you about 48 centimetres. Okay, let's put the seats down. 180 centimetres depth. That's to my driving position, and I'm 5'11", 180 centimeters. You've also got a little bit of space just up here, and yeah, for storing crap. There are also these little things here, and I'm not sure what they are. Little hooks or something. I don't know whether there's some sort of accessory thing that you can get, but I'm assuming. Oh, okay, yeah, they twist out like that. But I can't think what they're for. I don't know. This will tow 1,200 kilograms. The Air trim comes with these 18-inch alloys. You get 19-inch in the GT line and GT line S, or you can option big old 20-inch ones if you want to. I don't know why you would want to, because really the smaller wheels get you better efficiency. This has a range of 329 miles, but if you go for the GT line or GT line S, they've got 19-inch alloys, and then that goes down to 313 miles. So as I said in my EV4 review, it would be nice, wouldn't it, if you could get the higher trim with all the goodies, but the smaller wheels, because surely you want better efficiency, don't you? I do. The charging flap is here, just above the front right wheel. I don't love that as a position for charging. It's a little bit awkward, I think, for some chargers. If you park up to a Tesla supercharger, the old ones that have the really short cables, you can probably just about fit it there, but it all depends where the bump stop is in front of the charger. So anyway, it's not always the best. I prefer at the back, also just because I prefer reversing in. I prefer reversing into charging spots, so I don't love it at the front. Anyway, this will take 30 minutes up to 80% with a maximum charging speed of 127 kilowatts, which isn't great really these days. So the question is, do I do my 800 volt rant now or later? I think I'll do it now. When this was first announced, I thought, fantastic, this is going to be Kia's version of the Ioniq 5, because, you know, Ioniq 5, EV5, I thought it'd be roughly the same. However, the Ioniq 5 is 800 volt architecture, and this is 400 volts. What does that mean? It means that this charges much slower than the Ioniq 5, which is a shame. It's a shame, because it's a big car, it's got a big battery, and faster charging would be great. Now, it's still 30 minutes to 80%, but I would like 18 minutes to 80% like the Ioniq 5 was. Now, when you're doing a long journey, it's got to be said that even 30 minutes is fine for most people, really, because you drive for hours and then you stop and you eat or whatever and charge at the same time. So for most people, it's absolutely fine. But still, I would like to see 800 volts. Seems like a missed opportunity to me, but they're obviously trying to keep the price low. Okay, so what's it like in the back of the EV5? Well, first of all, I would say that it's quite impressive that I can put my feet right under the seat in front and my thighs are supported by the seat, which is quite rare. You don't get that very often. It is because it's a big SUV. The extra height allows them to do that. Generally, EVs, because of the battery pack, means that you can't put your feet in front or under the seat in front. So that's nice. And their seat is pretty comfortable, yeah. And in terms of headroom, I mean, it's quite a tall car, really. So in terms of headroom, I've got, what's that, 3 fists? Yeah, loads of room. I should have brought my tape measure in the back, really, shouldn't I? But I've got a lot of headroom in here. So it feels very airy and also quite a lot of glass. I mean, it's a pretty good cabin, actually. Yeah, it feels good in here. You've got a pocket in front and no heated seats in the back in the Air spec. But what there is a handle down here. What's this for? Yeah, okay. So you've got a handle if you want to recline the seat, which is quite nice if you want to sit really upright. So that's good. So you've got that on the far right seat and the far left, of course. There we go. I don't know who would want to sit this upright, but I suppose it's nice that it has the option. And then the middle seat is just as useless as middle seats always seem to be. It's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. It's the thing that my wife gets so annoyed with this. You just can't really call most cars 5-seaters, can you? They're 4.5. Yeah, it's a hard slab. Okay, so you're sitting on fabric and everything. It's cushioned a bit, but still, it's not a very comfortable middle seat. And you'd think it would be, wouldn't you, for a big SUV kind of thing like this? But it's not. So it's a 4.5 seat. And what have you got here? You've got a couple of cup holders. And it also opens so you can stick in skis or whatever. You've got a couple of USB-Cs just on these seats here. That's good. And on the center console at the back, it slides out, which is interesting. And the top bit slides as well. So you've got quite a deep storage area there, which is just going to get full of rubbish from your kids, isn't it? They're going to throw sweet wrappers and stuff like that, and you'll never be able to clean it. But anyway, it's yeah, it's quite an interesting little storage cubby in there. And you've got vents as well. It would be nice to have climate controls in the back. The GT Line S has that. This Air trim doesn't. And as I said, with the EV4, you get an interesting face as well on these things because of the vents. And this one looks like a knight, I think. Looks like a knight or someone with a kind of a big beard. But anyway, that could just be me. But yeah, no, other than that, I would say it's very comfortable in the back here. And if you're going on a long journey, people in the back would be pretty happy. And what's great is these seats, you can actually see through them, which is really good. And you couldn't in the EV4 and I think the EV3. So that's good that they've changed that, because the best way of defeating car sickness for passengers is being able to see out the front. So in the cabin of the EV5, as always with modern Kias, it's pretty comfortable and it's all pretty well laid out. The steering wheel just feels lovely. It's quite a smooth, solid feeling steering wheel. It's not completely circular, but it's near enough to be able to feed it through your hands nicely. The layout here all works pretty well. I mean, you've got these weird buttons, which they've actually changed. They've changed these buttons. Now, there was some haptic feedback on the EV3 and 4 and 9, I think, and it would go a click when you press the buttons. That doesn't happen anymore. It is just touch sensitive. It's got quite interesting angles going on here, and also some strange material. So this is lots of kind of a weird plastic with lots of sort of holes in it. Here you've got a gold, or should we say copper? It's copper strip that runs down here, which is an interesting design element, and you don't see it elsewhere. Ah, you do, just along here. Okay, so just on the doors as well, you've got this little strip. So that's quite interesting. It makes me think of the Cupra Born, because that had a sort of that kind of copper look. And in fact, Cupra, is that copper in Latin? I think it is, isn't it? Anyway, so it all feels quite good in here. And let's see about the seat. If I pump it up to the top. Oh, no, wrong one. Oh, okay. God, I'm still going. So it's a high driving position. It's a high driving position even without the pumping. God, I'm just carrying on going. Okay. I mean, I can see that this is really going to appeal to a lot of people. Manual seat adjustment, by the way, on the Air trim, if I can find the thing. There we go. Yeah, if you like being high up, then you'll love this. I mean, I suppose that's what a lot of people get an SUV for, isn't it? It's that sort of commanding view of the road. And I've still got plenty of headroom. You know, what is that? 2 fists. I've still got 2 fists, even pumped up to the top. And visibility is very good. You've got a pretty decent window, I think, out the back, and quite a lot of glass everywhere. Yeah, no, it's good. So the cabin is lovely. I've gone on about the dash before and just how much I like it, how much it's got everything that I want to see on there. I've got my efficiency, I've got my range, I've got my battery percentage, charging speed when it's plugged in, and regen level. So I've got everything I want to see in front of me. So I love Kias and Hyundais for that. That's all great. the heating controls here, where you've got auto, you can see what temperature is set and things like that, and recirculation, all that. I'm going to sound like a stuck record, but if you've got your hand on the steering wheel, you've got to go like that to see it, which I find a little bit annoying. But you've got physical buttons, and hallelujah for that. You've got physical buttons for temperature and for the fan speed and for the mode as well. And they all feel lovely and clicky. God, it's wonderful. Wonderful just having proper tactile buttons. And I really hope Kia don't get rid of those and go all kind of touch screeny like every other brand seems to. Even in this Air trim, you've got heated steering wheel and heated seats at the front. So that's fantastic, because if you really are striving for efficiency in your EV, then you can just stick on the heated steering wheel and seats and just not even put on the air conditioning. So, but it's a decent range car, this. You don't have to do that, do you? Although it's not a completely flat floor, you do have a sort of a tray down here where you can throw your stuff. And that's all fine. Button here, what's that? A little curry, do we call it a curry hook? A little hook there for hanging your bags, so that's good. 2 cup holders here, and this sort of captain's table thing that sticks out here. And a fairly small lined area here for storage, but pretty stingy. But then I suppose you've got the rear occupant storage at the back, so that's why. Pretty decent glove compartment. We do have a vanity mirror with a light. Overall, it's all good. All the controls that you could want on the steering wheel, drive mode down here, all your cruise control settings, and cruise control works really well in Kias, by the way. All that's on the left, and your kind of Siri button or the voice command button is up here. It does now have ChatGPT built into it, which doesn't work that well when I tried it in the EV4. Watch my review of that. I'm not going to go over that again because it's soul destroying. But you can click on that and get it to navigate somewhere. And because it's got ChatGPT, it should, in theory, be a little bit more intelligent. And yeah, I'm not sure it is, to be honest. But anyway, it's there. Down here, you've got 2 USB-C ports. And here you can press that to toggle between it being on USB mode and powering it, of course, or just powering it. Cigarette lighter in there. And it does have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, even in the Air trim, but it doesn't have wireless phone charging. The seats are really comfortable, nice support on the side, and I love fabric seats. So here's the infotainment, and if I click on the map, you can see that we've got all the kind of mapping stuff that you would normally want. And go on, let's just go to Edinburgh. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. So because these are touch sensitive, I just accidentally pressed one of those. See, that's silly, isn't it? I just accidentally did that. Ah, that's annoying. So you can't really rest your hand on there. Edinburgh. So I always like to do Edinburgh as a test because it's a long distance and it will tell us where to charge. So set as destination. And it's going to include charging stations, and it's going to tell me where I need to charge. Hopefully not Shell or BP, because I dislike both of those with a passion. So we've got 3 charges to get up to Edinburgh with 30%. Is it going to tell me? Oops, I'll get back. Oh.
Starting route guidance.
That's so annoying. That's so annoying, this thing here. Yeah, why have they done that? That should just be, they should be clicky buttons, but you accidentally press them. Anyway, okay, Edinburgh. How do I get back to the map? Map. Is it going to tell me where I've got to charge? Okay. BEV, Osprey, and GridServe. Okay, well, GridServe costs a small fortune, but anyway. At least it tells you where to charge, you know? So you could just get in your car and decide, yeah, I want to go somewhere far away, and it will tell you where to charge. So that's all good. I would like to be able to change these. I think if I click that, I don't know if I can then remove it. It would be good if I could but I don't think I can. But you can add, obviously, stops if you want to. So I suppose I could decide to go to another charger somewhere along the road. So although it works fine, it's not as good as Tesla or Google Maps in my experience. But here you've got lots of stuff like YouTube and entertainment and games, but that's all stuff I think you've got to subscribe to Kia to get in their Kia Connect app, which is kind of annoying. But here's the thing that is incredibly exciting. Look at that. If you've got a dog or a cat or maybe some chickens and they're in the car and you want them kept warm enough or cool enough in the summer, and you want to lock the doors of the car, of course, but you don't want the alarm going off, and you want a message on the screen so no one breaks the windows trying to free your hot dog. You can do all of that with pet mode, and that is something that Teslas have had for ages and ages. And my God, not enough manufacturers have copied that feature. Finally, Kia have copied it. Thank the Lord for that. I'm so happy about it. That feature is enough to make me consider getting an EV5, because really, pet mode is such a great thing. And finally we have it. I'm just hoping that they put this in other Kias as well, because at the moment it's just in the EV5 and the PV5, the fancy new van. Oh, set activation screen image 1, image 2, image 3. I like this, that's quite nice. So you set your climate control and go to start. The vehicle system connection is not stable. Please try again later. Okay. That could be just a bug that they need to sort out. If we go into the EV section, by the way, just to say you do have battery conditioning, which you can activate if you want to get fast battery charging speeds. And lots of other little options in here, like plug and charge. So you can turn that on, go to Ionity, plug in, and you don't have to faff around with an app or anything else. The infotainment works pretty well. Just, I'm really annoyed with these buttons. There's going to be a strong sense of deja vu for you if you've driven any other recent Kia EVs, or if you've watched my previous reviews about the EV3 or EV4, because it's all pretty much the same, really. I mean, it drives roughly the same, it looks roughly the same, both externally and internally, but that's no bad thing. I think Kia have done a great job, really, with their design. There's really very little to complain about in here because it's comfortable, the visibility is good, it drives nicely. I wouldn't say it's the most engaging drive. When I think of the Volkswagen ID cars, I actually prefer the way they drive. They are rear-wheel drive, and I think that helps a lot. Like all the other Kia EVs and Hyundai as well, they've got regenerative braking. Regenerative braking just means that when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car naturally slows down, and when it does that, it recharges the battery, which can be really efficient. It's not actually too efficient on fast roads, but it can be very efficient when you're going around town. You're just harvesting any energy you can possibly get. You've got paddles on the left and right that adjust that. It's telling me off because I'm not looking at the road enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I've got a little icon flashing, a little eye icon flashing. So regenerative braking, now at the moment I've got it set to level 3. That means that when I take my foot off the accelerator, it slows down quite a lot. You can also set it to iPedal. And iPedal means that it's effectively one pedal driving. So if I do that with holding down on the left paddle here, that's now turned on iPedal, and it's a very responsive way of driving. The moment I take my foot off the accelerator, it will start to slow down. But if the amount it slows down is too much for you, you can actually set different levels of iPedal as well, which is something they've just added in the EV4 and of course now the EV5. So I love having all of these options. I love being able to tailor it to exactly what I want. It's 8.4 seconds to 62 miles an hour, and you get 295 Newton meters of torque out of its 160 kilowatt motor. It's not the kind of car that you're going to take onto a track, is it? However, there is going to be a GT version of this. In fact, of the EV3, 4 and 5, if you really want a big SUV that does silly speeds. You've got different drive modes that you can enable at the bottom here. So turn it to sport mode, the dash goes red, and then you have a little bit extra pep when you put your foot down. But it certainly feels heavier than other Kia EVs that I've driven recently, like the EV4 and EV3. but it is a much bigger car. So the Sportage is a massive hit for Kia. In fact, I think it's the #1 SUV in the UK by quite a wide margin. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether people will buy this instead of the Sportage. The Sportage doesn't come in a plug-in hybrid version at the moment. So you can get just a normal petrol and a hybrid. So will people get upsold to this, I wonder? Because this is about £8,000 more than a Sportage, the petrol Sportage anyway. I'd have thought by now we should be closer to price parity with EVs and ICE cars, but clearly not. But if you were to go for the hybrid version of the Sportage, then that narrows the gap, and then you're looking about, I think it's about a £4,000 difference. And there is a plug-in hybrid version of the Sportage coming. The plug-in hybrid, I don't know what the cost is going to be for that, but I reckon this will then be about £2,500 more. And at that point, I would say that this is probably a no-brainer. It's because you may not know this, but if you are thinking of getting a plug-in hybrid, although, you know, although it's a nice idea, isn't it, still having petrol, but having a battery there for short journeys, what you have to remember is that the battery is so small, it gets cycled a lot, which means that the longevity of the battery on a plug-in hybrid isn't going to be as good as a full EV, because battery life is measured by cycles. So the more times that you discharge it from 100% to 0, keep doing that over and over again, it degrades, and batteries degrade the more that happens. And you'll know this about battery health if you have a mobile phone, because if you look at the battery health on your brand new lovely phone, after about 6 months, you'll see that it's already gone down to 99% or something probably. And that's just because the more you charge it up and discharge it, each time you do that, you're removing one cycle life from the battery health. If you do have an EV, you find that the battery lasts far longer than you think it's going to. And all those fears that people had early on about, oh, batteries are going to go into landfill after 3 years and stuff like that, it hasn't happened. Even the old Nissan Leaf, which was terrible for battery management, even that, the batteries last ages. So that was a very long-winded way of saying that plug-in hybrids maybe aren't quite as great as you think they are. And something like this has such good range, you probably don't need to get a plug-in hybrid, really. And talking of range, at the moment I've been driving around for over half an hour, and I've still got 245 miles of range. And what's really neat about this is it tells you the maximum range you could have and the minimum range, and then a sort of an average. So if I was driving this like I stole it, then it looks like I would have only 144 miles of range. If I'm driving around city, then 345. Now, although this isn't as wide as some of its rivals, it does feel quite a big car. As with other Kias, you know, when I'm driving it, I just find it very difficult to really find anything I don't like about it. It's just, it's good. It's a good car, drives well. It's not going to set your world alight, but I think you'll be happy driving it around. You know, it's comfortable, it's smooth. You know, what more do you want? Let's just see how it feels when we go over a bump, and it doesn't take me long to find one. There we go. It's pretty good. It's pretty comfortable. Don't even hear very much, actually. The cabin noise is quite good. I don't normally talk about the safety features enough, actually, so I'm just going to put it on screen, what you get in this and what you get in the higher trim levels. I mean, things like collision warning when you're parking, it sounds pretty good to me. Especially good to me because I crashed my e-Niro into a skip recently. Not my finest moment. That's the efficiency, 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, but really that's not true efficiency because I've been just sat in the car for absolutely ages. So 39,295 for this Air trim. That goes all the way up to 47,095 for the GT Line S. And relative to other cars like this in the market, that's not too bad. However, you've got the Chinese cars coming, and they're quite cheap, really, for what you get. The XPeng G6 is an 800-volt car. So I know I was going on about 800 volts before. Well, the XPeng G6 is 800 volts. And it charges in 12 minutes, up to 80% in 12 minutes. What was this, 30 minutes? And that does 12 minutes. If you can find a charger fast enough, but that's a whole other story. It does 292 miles, 6.9 seconds to 62 miles an hour, and that's 39,990. And that includes a heat pump, because, by the way, if you want a heat pump in this, you've got to spend an extra £900. That's the standard range for 292 miles of range. You can get the long range, which does 326 miles of range for 44,990. So that's under 40,000, and you get a car like that. Now, I've not driven the G6. I think it's supposed to be quite good, but I've not driven it. I have driven loads of Kias, and I know these are solid, dependable, 7-year warranty, just decent cars, Kias. But still, I mean, that's kind of amazing, isn't it? And that's my worry, really, with Kias. Especially in the electric market, I'm worried that these are priced a little bit too high, even though relative to other cars that we're used to, or other brands that we're used to, it's not too bad. But with the Chinese coming, I don't know, it just doesn't seem very competitive, does it? So there it is, the Kia EV5. Now, I prefer small cars. So it's not really suited for me, because for me, our little Kia e-Niro, it's not little, but our Kia e-Niro does everything that we want. And it's much smaller turning circle, easier to drive around, easier to park. But I think for a lot of people, this is probably the kind of EV that they want. You've got decent visibility. You've got quite a lot of tech in it, really. It's comfortable, drives well, decent range. Charging could be a bit better, but still, it charges fast enough for, I think, most people. I think, again, Kia might have a hit on their hands. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please press the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of other videos. And I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.